What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. The Giants lost last night, Week 6 loss versus the Cincinnati Bengals on primetime, and yeah, there's a lot of conversations to be had, particularly let's surround them around Daniel Jones and his career primetime record. And I want to preface this and say it's a team sport. We didn't just lose because of Daniel Jones. He's not the only reason that the Giants walked away with a loss on Sunday Night Football, but let's face it, throughout his career, he has really struggled to deliver under the bright lights, and I will harken back to Bill Parcells, legendary Hall of Fame coach of the New York Giants, his famous quote, "You are what your record says you are." The Giants are 2-4. They're 0-2 against the division, and they're 0-2 on primetime, and Daniel Jones in 6 years as the New York Giants starter is 1-14 on primetime. You are what your record says you are, and Daniel Jones' record says that he is not cut out to win big games in the NFL, and that just is what it is. Now, I'm also going to say, over the last 3 weeks, Daniel Jones did play much better than he did in Week 1. He played some pretty good football. We gave him praise, we gave him credit, especially for that win against the Seahawks on the road last weekend. We've given him a lot of praise, and we said, good football from Daniel Jones. But I also did say, I'll buy in once he does it on primetime. This upcoming game that we had against the Cincinnati Bengals, I said if he could do it then, if he could throw a few touchdowns, 0 picks, and lead the Giants to a victory at home on Sunday night, then I'll start to buy in, and I'll start to believe that maybe Daniel Jones is turning a corner. But until he does it under the bright lights, I will not believe that it's truly happening. And, alas, another stinker on primetime from Daniel Jones. 0 touchdowns. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass on primetime in 7 primetime starts in a row. Think about how unfathomable that is. That is a crazy stat. His career touchdown to interception ratio on primetime is 12-20. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. When the New York Giants need wins, when the New York Giants have the bright lights on them, when they are on the national stage, their quarterback folds like wet paper. It is unreal watching the way that Daniel Jones plays on a 4:25 p.m. game that only a small portion of people are watching versus the Seahawks last weekend. Yeah, he can throw those touchdowns. He can complete a high percentage of his passes. But if he can't carry that over into a primetime game, what does it mean? Does it even really matter? In my opinion, when we're watching this Giants team this year, I feel like we are a quarterback away. I see a lot of talent all over this roster. I see this rookie class making play after play. Tyrone Tracy Jr. uncovered a hidden gem in the 5th round, the Giants did. Tyler Nubin once again leading the team in tackles. Great 2nd round pick there, New York Giants safety. I saw Brian Burns turn in an excellent performance fighting through a groin injury. I saw Azeez Ojulari with his breakout game. I saw a lot of players on both sides of the ball making plays. But I saw one player particularly struggling to deliver in those big moments. And again, it was the New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, as it always has been on primetime over the last 6 years. So that's where I'm at. I said that I needed to see him deliver in primetime, and if he doesn't, I think that we all know where the season is heading, and I think we got some clear answers on Sunday Night Football versus the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that was absolutely beatable going in, and a team that was absolutely beatable throughout all 4 quarters of that game. The New York Giants had opportunities to get on top, to take a lead, and to win that game in all 4 quarters, and somehow, some way, their offense failed to do so nearly every single time out. Shout out to Tyrone Tracy for getting his first career touchdown. But man, this Giants offense is broken at times, and it's not because of a lack of trying, it's not because of a lack of playmakers, nor is it because a lack of good play calling. It's because of a lack of good signal calling, quarterback play from Daniel Jones. That's simply what it is. Alex, how are you feeling today after that kind of crushing loss, season-altering loss on Sunday Night Football last night? How are you feeling, and what was your reaction to last night's game?
I mean, listen, guys. The Giants had a chance here to get back in the NFC East in this divisional race. This is a bad division. A bad division. It went from being one of the best to one of the worst overnight. The Commanders are now leading this division, and they look like they're going to run away with it. The Cowboys look like an absolute abomination, got absolutely blown out by the Detroit Lions, and the Eagles barely beat the Browns. This is a division. The Giants could have walked away and flipped the script and stepped up, won football game. This should be 4-2, if not 5-1 right now. But listen, this is the Daniel Jones experience, guys. This is how it always has been. I don't know why this is so new to people. He has a couple of good games. He starts to change some opinions, and then he throws an interception that loses you a football game, because that moment where he threw that interception was the moment the Giants lost that game. They lost the momentum. And you want to know what Daniel Jones is really, really bad at doing? Recovering after bad moments. He struggles so much when he makes a bad mistake, when he does something dumb. He can't recover. He legitimately has to have a perfect game. It has to be perfect. The discipline has to be perfect. He has to be in rhythm. He cannot bounce back from a bad interception or a bad fumble or a bad mistake. He never has been able to. And that's kind of where I look at him and say, listen, great quarterbacks have amnesia. They forget about what just happened. They get back on the football field and they have a great drive the next one. Daniel Jones struggles to do that. And look, this loss was not on DJ entirely. I want to make that very, very clear. The offense in general, the offensive line did not look good yesterday. There was some drops. Andrew Thomas looked horrible and he was injured most of the game. And he also had a play. He was downfield an extra yard, wiped away a 50-yard Darius Slayton sorry for my language, but getting frustrated now. This is how it ends up being every episode after a Giants loss, and the emotions are starting to flow. But the Giants had a couple big plays that got erased, but there was also a couple plays that Daniel Jones missed, and I'm just posting them on Twitter now. The 4th and 5 at the end of the game, Giants had an opportunity to keep the drive going. He had Wan'Dale Robinson wide open on an arrow route. The cornerback's leaning the wrong way. He's not even close in coverage, and Daniel Jones lasers in on Darius Slayton and forces him the football. He can't get through his progressions, and he's clean in the pocket. When that ball is gone, already out of his hand, he gets hit like a second later after the ball's already gone. He had time to find Wan'Dale, and his processing is so slow, he can't do it. He just can't do it. And then he had one to Wan'Dale Robinson earlier in the game, about a 40-yard throw. Maybe it was even 30 yards. It was shorter than that. And he had a clean pocket. I zoomed in on the pocket. There was nobody even close to him, and he airmailed it 10 yards past him. Like, this is a player who's making $40+ million and can't make the easy throws in a clean pocket. I don't care if Jesus is his left tackle. I don't care if he doesn't have Malik Neighbors. These are throws he has to make. If he's making that much money, he has to make them. He continuously misses them, and it's getting to a point where Brian Dable said it after the game. Brian Dable took all the blame, Anthony. But you want to know what he said? We're not going to win without explosive plays. And Daniel Jones is not making enough explosive plays. And I want to make it very apparent that there's a lot of other problems on this team. The defense is not one of them. The defense looked excellent yesterday. Aside from that Joe Burrow rushing touchdown, which was an anomaly in a much larger sample, I think that this defense played lights out. As you said, Tyler Nubin leads the team in tackles, was phenomenal in run defense once again. That 30-yard touchdown at the end of the game, they're trying to press, they're trying to make something happen. I don't blame them for that. I do think that the secondary held up pretty nicely. Drew Phillips had the highest grade of any DB on this team yesterday. Deontay Banks had a couple of bad moments, but otherwise, they didn't do a crazy amount. They didn't do that much to beat the secondary. The edge rushers, Azeez Ojulari, 6 pressures and 2 sacks, arguably the best edge rushing game of the Giants this season. As a backup, he might be better than Kayvon Thibodeau, straight up. And I honestly think that Brian Burns, people have been giving him crap all season long so far. Brian Burns looked phenomenal yesterday. Dexter Lawrence was double-teamed almost every single play, still ended up getting a sack. This defense looked absolutely solid. Solid, if not well above average. 17 points to an offense like the Bengals, and I'm happy with what they put on the football field, Anthony. 35 minutes of possession the Giants had. 35 minutes, and they scored 7 points. That is the only thing we have to be talking about today. The defense, no problems with them. I'm happy with what they did. If not, ecstatic. The Giants should be winning against the Bengals team that came into the league allowing the most, the highest EPA of any defense in football. And Daniel Jones had the lowest A-dot of his career, or of this season, in this game. And he had open receivers. He had opportunities. The only thing that made this offense worth watching was Tyrone Tracy, a 5th-round rookie, put back-to-back on 100 all-purpose yard games. Tyrone Tracy is a star in the making. He was breaking tackles. He was making things happen. He showed his qualities in the receiving game, and I'm so happy. He should be getting 75% of snaps moving forward. I like Devin Singletary, don't get me wrong, but Tyrone Tracy is a legitimate playmaker, and Devin Singletary is not that. He is a good starting level running back who can move the chains and make some plays. I don't think he's labeled a playmaker. He's a solid running back, right? But Tyrone Tracy is capable of doing those special things, and I think that we need to be leaning on him and giving him the chance to develop in real time, because he's the future of this team, not Devin Singletary, and they need to be giving reps to the future at this point in time. And having Tyrone Tracy walking into 2025 with all this experience is super important, in my opinion. I'll let you get your take here on some of the throws that DJ missed, but also Tyrone Tracy, one of the few silver linings in this game, looks to be the part. I think he should be our starter moving forward.
Yeah, I like Tyrone Tracy a lot, and I would be happy if he's named the starter. I also see the argument to keep Devin Singletary as a starter for a little bit longer. I mean, that'll be a deeper conversation that we can have probably during the week. But I want to react to a couple of the things that you said there, Alex. And one of them, not to just keep piling on Daniel Jones, but I think today is a pretty good day to do that a little bit. That 50-yard plus gain by Darius Slayton that you mentioned, how Andrew Thomas wiped that away, that was an RPO. So that means that if the offensive lineman got downfield too far and got called for a penalty, that's usually not the offensive lineman's fault. I'm actually going to exonerate Andrew Thomas for that. That's based on the quarterback not being decisive enough and getting the ball out of his hands quickly enough. He held on to the ball too long, should have handed the ball off if he was going to let the lineman get downfield, didn't throw the ball quickly enough. That resulted in Andrew Thomas being downfield for the penalty. So again, there's these little nuances to playing quarterback, these little mismarks that you might not realize are the quarterback's fault on a day-to-day or on a snap-to-snap basis, right? Casual football fans, Giants fans might be looking at this like, man, terrible play by Andrew Thomas. What are you thinking? Well, actually, the design of the play tells you that is on the quarterback to get the ball out of their hands quickly enough to make sure that his linemen aren't downfield and to make sure that the ball is on time to the receiver for a big gain. Now, again, you can definitely say Andrew Thomas should have had more discipline, should have waited longer, sure, but really on an RPO, that decision-making relies on the quarterback being quickly enough to get the ball out into the hands of his playmakers. Now, another thing that you mentioned here, Alex, yeah, we have to exonerate the defense of like everything. They had that big gaffe in the beginning of the game. They surrendered the longest rushing touchdown of a Cincinnati Bengals quarterback ever. That was an embarrassing moment. I hated that play call, 3rd and 18, and you're in man coverage. Why? Drop back in a deep zone, make them throw it short of the sticks, make the tackle. It's as simple as that. The Giants had no business being in man coverage on 3rd and 18 in that first quarter rushing touchdown from Joe Burrow. However, I don't even care. That was the one major mistake that defense made in all 4 quarters of this game. If you are making one major mistake like that and then you are playing lights out football for the rest of the game, you're exonerated, my friends. I am happy with the way that this defense played. Think about this, Alex. The Cincinnati Bengals were averaging 29 points per game entering this Week 6 matchup. That placed them in the top 5 of all offenses in the NFL. The Giants held a top 5 offense in the league to 17 total points, and they lost. Think about that. That is a damning statistic if I have ever heard one.
With 35 minutes of freaking possession,
with 35 points, time of possession. The Giants controlled this game. This game plan was executed perfectly. And that's where I want to say there are Giants fans who are upset. And they're saying Brian Daboll, once again, being outcoached, outsmarted, the Giants losing this game. Guys, reality check. Wake up. That is not the problem here. Brian Daboll coached an absolutely great game plan. His assistants did a phenomenal job. Shane Bowen was perfect. Brian Daboll's play calling was excellent. The Giants controlled the clock. They held the Bengals offense in check. We didn't have any astronomical performances from either Burrow, from Jamar Chase, from T. Higgins. All of them, for the most part, were held in check. The Giants did a great job defensively. They did a great job controlling the game offensively. There is no reason why they shouldn't have won this football game against a beatable 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals team. Again, this was not a coaching problem this time around. Guys, I was very quick to criticize Brian Daboll for that loss in Week 2. I'll call him out when he makes his mistakes, and that's kind of how I always have been on this channel, and this is where I'm going to kind of respond to some messages that we get on the comment section of this channel. I had somebody actually yesterday on social media say to me, Alex, they said something because I tweeted, over the past few weeks, I've said I won't believe it until I see it on primetime. Like, I'm not buying into Daniel Jones until he does it on primetime. And someone responded to me and said, that's ridiculous. You're supposed to be a fan of this team. You're supposed to believe in every player every single week. And I said, yeah, I am a fan of this team, not of an individual player. I bleed blue. I don't bleed Daniel frickin' Jones. I bleed New York Giants blue, baby. I'm going to support this team through thick and thin, absolutely, but that doesn't mean that I have to blindly believe and be loyal to a struggling quarterback every single week. If I'm a fan of this team and I'm loyal to this team and want to see them win every single week, when I see a quarterback struggling, it's on me to say, hey, that quarterback is struggling. There are different ways that this Giants team can win, and it doesn't have to do with starting that quarterback. So I just think it's really interesting how Giants fans have had this notion that you have to be blindly loyal to Daniel Jones just because he wears that Giants blue helmet. You don't have to be. Like, you really do not have to defend every single mistake that this guy makes just because he wears that helmet. I will always root for him as long as he has that helmet on. As long as a Giants player has the red stripe down the middle and the NY on the side of their head, I am a fan, and I am rooting for you, and you have my full support. But at the same time, if you're not playing well, there is another player behind you with that same helmet on his head that I'd rather see play over you, because I want this Giants team to win football games. I don't want individual players to have stats and success. I want the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, to win games. It is not about supporting the quarterback or whatever. It is simply just about me being a New York Giants fan. So I'm just pushing back against the guys who have come in our comments section and have yelled at us for not giving Daniel Jones enough love and support. We give the guy enough. More than enough love and support. 6 years worth of support. Every single season, we go into the year and we're like, you know what? We hope that he proves us wrong. We always hope that he proves us wrong. But when he proves us right, do you guys think we're happy about this? We're not. I'm not sitting here in pride. I'm miserable. I'm upset. I'm not excited about the fact that I'm right about Daniel Jones struggling on primetime. I'm hurt by it. So don't get in the comment section and say, hey, you guys are too hard on the kid. He's not a kid. He's 27 years old. He's 4 years older than me. I'm allowed to be hard on him. Screw it. Yeah, he's making $40 million, shit that I only dream of. So you know what? I'm going to be hard on him. I just want this New York Giants team to win. I don't care which quarterback is throwing the touchdowns. Right now, there isn't a quarterback throwing the goddamn touchdowns. I just want this Giants team to win.
Yeah, you know, the last time, I tweeted this last night, the last time that Daniel Jones threw a touchdown pass at MetLife Stadium, I didn't even know that I was having a child. This child is now 6 months old. Daniel Jones, why do you hate my child so much? Why don't you want her to be happy? I don't understand why you won't throw a touchdown in MetLife. It's killing this Giants team. Listen, let alone the 1-14 record in primetime, Anthony. When your quarterback doesn't play well at home, it's a freaking you're killing yourself. You're shooting yourself in the face, man. You're shooting yourself in the face. If you don't have a quarterback who can play well at home, you are setting yourself up to lose football games. Because if you could only win on the road, your chances of winning on the road are already less. But not being able to win at home is in front of your owner and John Mara. How does John Mara sit there and take this bullshit straight up? How does he sit here and stand by Daniel Jones when he can't even get the guy to throw a freaking touchdown at home in front of the fan base? I mean, I saw that game. There was 3 minutes left in the game. That stadium was empty. There was people filing out. They played the rest of that game with nobody in the stands. Nobody. The energy is being sucked out of it. They were still in it.
They still had a chance, and the fans were leaving because they knew that they didn't have a real chance.
Yeah, look, Jones is sucking the life out of the toilet factory that is MetLife. But at least the fans can bring a lot of energy and passion. They do. Winning a Giants team, winning football games, the fan base is going crazy, absolutely nuts. But the guy is just sucking the life out of this freaking team at home, man. He's making dumb decisions, bad turnovers. He can't hit the deep ball. He can't do the little things right at home. But when he goes on the road, look, the Seahawks was an anomaly. That was a great game by him. But we watched them get torn to shreds 3 consecutive weeks now. They are a fraudulent team. Their defense is fraudulent. I think we can make that assumption now. Daniel Jones took advantage of another bad defense that was missing like 90% of their defensive line. This is what he does, though. He goes on the road, he beats up on bad defenses, and then bounces back and looks like shit against decent teams. You know what I mean? Like, this is the experiment. This is the freaking experience that we've been going through for years now. I'm so over it. I mean, how many more times? And, like, people other content creators taking shots, saying dumb shit about us because we're just speaking the truth here. You know what I'm talking about. Dumb. Crazy, insane. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Insane. I'm not gonna say his name. Doesn't deserve it. Insane. And this is what we are as a fan base right now, guys. We're conflicted against each other because on one part, you need 14 300-pound elite athletes to protect Daniel Jones when it's just never gonna happen. You know, you need 40 Malik Neighbors, and he's still gonna throw bad passes downfield. He has 2 passes. I mean, dude, they didn't have a pass over 15 yards yesterday, man. 15 yards. They don't have Jesse Bates anymore in that secondary. You know what I mean? Like, they're a beatable defense. A beatable team. And we couldn't even move the freaking ball downfield. That Darius Slayton pass, by the way, that was like all yak. It's not like Daniel Jones made a great throw. It was just all yak. Like, and he still got called back for Andrew Thomas being downfield. Look, there's a lot of reasons this Giants team lost the game yesterday. None of it has to do with the defense. Everything has to do with the offense. The play calling was more than good. More than good. I thought it was fine. Nobody had any qualms with the play calling yesterday. I didn't see anyone freaking out about the play calling. No. So whose fault was it? There wasn't that many drops. I didn't see that many drops, right? Tyrone Tracy had over 100 all-purpose yards. So what happened here? It just comes back to the quarterback. Our quarterback does not know how to win in primetime. And if he can't win, if he is 1-14 in primetime, you have to be seriously ill to think he's going to make a run at a Super Bowl at any point in his career. Seriously ill. There's simply no way. It's impossible, right? I would bet on anything over that. The Giants have to move on. And the hardest part about the situation that the Giants face right now is that the quarterback class next year is weak. Not many of those guys, if not any of them, are ready to start in the NFL. They need time. They actually need a year, if not a couple of months, if not a couple of weeks, to just learn and sit and develop. I mean, their team's doing it now with guys like Drake May, and he would be QB1 in this class by a country mile, right? They're going to need a bridge next year, and it can't be Daniel Jones. It can't be. They can't be paying his cap hit. They have to move on. They have to reset. I don't know who it's going to be, but maybe it's Sam Darnold on a much cheaper contract. Maybe it's a guy who can win us some football games until the guy's ready, until the young player's ready to take over. I don't know who that's going to be. Cam Ward, Nussmeier. Not a big fan of Jalen Milroe. He's more of a project for me. I don't think he'll be ready anytime soon. I think he's armed. He's a great runner, but the arm, he makes some bad decisions. That Alabama team scares me. The Alabama quarterbacks scare me in general. There are some good players. Jackson Dart's a guy that's looked really good. Like, there are some players that need time to develop in an offensive system and get better. But we'll talk about the quarterbacks at some point. I think sooner than later, Anthony, we'll have to get back to the strategy of talking about the quarterbacks in college every week, because we're getting to that point in the season already. We're already back in draft mode, right?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think it's, there's going to be fans who want to see us do film breakdowns and discuss some of the quarterbacks that are going to be in next year's draft class. And obviously, we're going to do that. We're going to provide you guys with every type of content that you want on this channel. But, just circling back into this game versus the Bengals, actually, even looking past this game versus the Bengals, now we're going into a crucial Week 7 game. The Giants are back at home. We just discussed all of the struggles that they've had at home. Well, now they've got their third divisional matchup of the season coming up here next Sunday afternoon versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, Alex, you got to listen carefully to this. I cannot stomach another loss to the Eagles at home. Like, I simply can't do it. It's happened way too much lately. The Giants are just little brother in this NFC East right now. Listen, for a while it was Washington. They were little brother. Everybody beat up on them. It's not Washington anymore. They have an MVP candidate at quarterback, a rookie, number 2 overall pick that the Giants, for what it's worth, tried their best to trade up to draft. He is now leading that team. They have a 4-2 record. They beat the Giants in Week 2. I mean, listen, bro, this is ugly. The Giants are definitely the worst team in the NFC East. They are the team that everybody looks forward to playing and beating up on. I mean, look at this Dallas Cowboys team, Alex. They just got trampled by the Detroit Lions at home yesterday. They're not good. They struggle every single week. Yet they still somehow didn't have much of a problem against the Giants. Pretty easy win for the Dallas Cowboys. And that's just the way it goes now. Correct. Quarterback's not stepping up, but again, this is just my point. Next week versus the Eagles, I've said this many times on the channel. I've been saying this exact quote for like 6 years now. I've been saying this. There is nothing on this earth that I hate more than the Philadelphia Eagles and their fan base. It literally kills me inside every time the New York Giants lose to them. I cannot stomach a loss next weekend. The Giants have to find a way, whether it be Daniel Jones at quarterback, bouncing back at home at MetLife, or if it be Tommy DeVito stepping in and giving us a win. I don't care. And this is where, Giants fans say, no, we don't want to win. We want to lose games. No, dude, there is a part of me that dies every time we lose to Philadelphia. Whoever has to start at quarterback, whoever has to make a play on the defensive side of the ball, I don't care. I need the Giants to win that game next week, and I'm going to be sick to my stomach if we have to do another one of these videos next Monday.
I mean, dude, we're probably going to have another one of these videos next Monday. I just don't know what to say. The Eagles are not playing good football, And our defense, I think, will put up a pretty good fight against them, to be quite honest. I mean, I know Brian Burns was limping a lot after the game. I don't know if we're gonna have Andrew Thomas. He's gonna get an MRI on his left foot. Like, this team may be shorthanded next week. We will get Malik Neighbors back, hopefully, which will give us a big jolt of energy. If the Giants lose to the Eagles, not only is this season over, Anthony, but I think you have to bench Daniel Jones. I think next week is the week.
Injury clause, you got to.
Yep, injury clause. The Giants are going to be done. They'll have lost 3 division games, which basically ends your season. This division is horrible, and the Giants losing 3 division games against bad football teams. Commanders are good. They're a good football team, and despite the fact they have not a great roster, it's just Jaden Daniels being amazing and turning Terry McLaurin into the WR1 everyone thought he could be. What a quarterback does for your team, man. The Giants had Jaden Daniels, they'd be playoff contenders and legit playoff contenders right now. That's the difference between a good and a bad quarterback, right? They'd be 5-1. They would have lost week 1 probably to the Vikings, but they'd be 5-1 right now. Which is why I love Jaden so much. But we couldn't have got him. It's a moot point at this point. The truth is this: like, if Daniel Jones loses next week, it's time's up. You have to go to Drew Lock because, yeah, maybe Daniel Jones gives you the best chance to win. I don't even know if that's true, though. Scoring 7 points against the Bengals, and you can't convince me that Drew Lock doesn't give us an equally as good chance to win. I mean, at least he can throw the ball deep, right? I really just don't think that at this point in time, the Giants can sustain this anymore. Like, they have to protect themselves from Daniel Jones. His injury clause will be the end of them when all is said and done. I genuinely believe that. If he gets hurt and he's running the ball more and he's taking more shots and he refuses to slide, Anthony, refuses. He had an easy first down picked up, and instead he bounced it outside and took 3 hits. It's just like use your head, man. Like, he doesn't use his brain. I just don't know what's going on here. Like, he doesn't use his head. Just slide for the first down. Why are you taking extra hits? You're fighting for extra yards going horizontal, not even vertical upfield. You know what I mean? Just stupid stuff like that like will bite the Giants in the butt, Anthony. It will hurt us. We all know it. It's just a matter of time. If they lose to the Eagles and they're 3 games, they lost all 3 games in the division, our season's over. And not only is it over, but Daniel Jones has to be benched permanently, Russell Wilson style. It just is the way it is. The Giants have to protect our future because if he gets injured and he fails that March physical, I don't know if I can. I'll never forgive this. I'll never forgive this front office ever. That is a fireable offense, in my opinion. And this draft class saved the jobs of Brian Dable and Joe Shane, but not benching Daniel Jones is a fireable offense after that.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I don't disagree with you. This rookie class has been tremendous, and it's saved Joe Shane's job. If his back was against the wall going into the season, he's definitely inched away from the wall and closer towards the center of the room. You could say that for sure. And I think the same could be said about Brian Dable after a couple clutch wins there against the Browns and the Seahawks. But listen, I'm just going to go back and dig from the well of Anthony quotes here, Alex. What was my quote all offseason and going into this year? What was the number one thing that I kept saying? It's no longer good enough for Daniel Jones to be good enough. What have we seen from him this year, Alex? I think we've seen him be good enough. You know, like, he's won a couple games. He's made a couple throws, a couple decent plays. He's been good enough to keep his starting job, right? But that's not good enough anymore. Last year, who was good enough? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson started 15 games for the Broncos. The Broncos were a fringe playoff team. But because he was only good enough and not great, they said, you know what? With that injury clause, he's going to the bench. We cannot risk our future and absolutely ruin ourselves financially if he gets injured. So they benched Russell Wilson. They moved on from him. They cut him in the offseason. Now the New York Giants find themselves in the exact same situation where their quarterback is playing good enough to be the starter, but he's not playing good enough to win a bunch of football games, and he's not playing great football. Therefore, you have to protect your future. You have to make a decision. I don't know if that decision happens this week. In fact, I know that it probably doesn't. But, I mean, when we get to that bye week, and what is that, week 9 or 10, I think, Alex? After that, I think you're struggling to justify keeping him on the field if this is how the season continues to go for the Giants. I mean, it's going to be bedlam if they lose in Germany to the freaking Panthers. I can tell you that much.
No. And dude, the Panthers are, like, they put up a fight against the Falcons. I know they ended up losing that game quite considerably.
They're starting to get competitive. They were competitive last week.
They can move the ball, man. Like, they have a good passing game. Deontay Johnson is balling. Xavier Legette is a good player. He is very underrated. Yeah. Andy Dalton is putting up some. I think the defense will shut him down for the most part, but like, I just don't trust this offense, man. Like, I don't think this offense is going to be able to do crazy stuff against anybody, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the Seahawks were seemingly an anomaly, right? Like, it's just, they're not doing enough to win football games, and the Panthers can put up points. So, you know, at this point in time, like, they need to beat the Panthers, but the Giants, who are they? They play the Eagles next week, right? And then they play the Steelers, who are going to kick the living shit out of us.
Steelers the Commanders on Monday night.
Monday night,
Prime time.
they're gonna beat our freaking brains in, and then Jane Daniels gonna come back at MetLife and beat our brains in. The Buccaneers are gonna beat the shit out of us. The Cowboys are gonna get right against us. Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara are gonna tear us to shreds. The Ravens are gonna literally. Like, I mean, Daniel Jones has to be on the bench by that game because I think they'll actually kill him. And then he will end up failing his physical at the end of the year because the Ravens are no joke.
Well,
And then the Colts and Eagles, at the end of the year.
add into the fact that if Andrew Thomas does miss time with an injury, I mean,
Yeah,
once
that's
Andrew
concerning.
Thomas went out of the lineup, that's when Daniel Jones got hit in the neck and missed a few games last year. You know, that was what started it, was Andrew Thomas being pulled from the lineup. Now he's going for an MRI. He could miss time. We could have Josh Azito protecting the blind side again. Or, this is where things get really interesting, we could have Jermaine Illuminor protecting the blind side and Evan Neal starting at right tackle again. So pick your poison at what's worse for the New York Giants. I don't know. You could definitely make a debate. Azito at left or Evan Neal at right? I don't know. Either way, though, the future looks uglier and uglier by the day for this New York Giants team. I'm restless. I'm upset after this loss. It has not been fun watching this team week to week. And listen, guys, if you don't agree with us now, you will soon enough. I promise. This is just not the right direction for this New York Giants team. Now sitting here at 2-4, another primetime loss. I've just about had it. I'm ready to call this one. I'm pissed off. I'm angry, Alex. If you got any closing thoughts, I know that you're pretty upset. We need to decompress here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is nothing new, guys. Like, you know, I'm emotional, I'm pissed off, I'm angry, but this has just been a whirlwind of 6 years. And listen, we saw glimpses of Daniel Jones getting better, and then he took 2 steps back. Like, this is the experiment, this is the experience we've had for so long. It's never been sustainable success. It's always been 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and the cycle continues. The cycle continues, and we're a 2-4 football team, excuse me. And the Giants now are facing the end of their season already, and we're in week 6. This is the same exact story for 5 of the 6 years of Daniel Jones' time here. They tried to move him. They tried to replace him through everything this past offseason. They tried to move up and get and Drake May. They tried, but they couldn't do it. The Patriots wanted to reset, and they did. And, you know, the Giants they won too many games to get a good quarterback. And, you know, they didn't want J.J. McCarthy. They didn't think Michael Penix was the guy, and that's fine. They got Neighbors, and I don't regret getting Neighbors whatsoever. He is a superstar. But don't bat an eye. They are going to take a quarterback in this next year's draft, whether it's Cam Ward or Nussmeier, whoever the hell, in the first round, in a trade back, in the second round. I don't know. But I watched Bo Nix yesterday look a lot better than Daniel Jones. A lot better. He threw 2 touchdown passes and over 200 yards against the Chargers, who have a good defense now. Like, Bo Nix is looking good at times. He's not a good quarterback, and he's not good at all. But he looks better than Daniel Jones sometimes, and he is a late first round rookie, right? Like, this is a situation where we're seeing better performance from bad players. You know what I mean? And this offense is being held down, held back. You're not going to win. You're not going to win games scoring 7 points. And if your $40 million quarterback is not scoring more than 7 points against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, we have our answers, guy. 1-14 in prime time. That one playoff game win, it feels like a decade ago. One game in a large sample is not something that we should be harping on. Nobody should be. That's called an anomaly. You know, when there's one good thing in a much larger sample of bad. It's called an anomaly. That playoff game was an anomaly against a historically bad defense. We've never seen anything like that against from him. Glimpses, but never the consistency that we needed to actually commit to him. Great guy. Awesome work ethic. I'd have no problems with him as a human being. He's just not a good football player, and that's unfortunately the truth. And I think most Giants fans are at that time. We've come to that conclusion, and we're experiencing the same thing all over again. And the people who had hope, the people who saw glimpses and flashes, we're back to square one again, guys. You know what I mean? Like, we're one loss to the Eagles away from our season pretty much being over.
Yep. That's the unfortunate reality. Once you go to 2-5, I don't know how you really fight back. Maybe if the Giants end up 3-4, we could still keep kicking it, and we could still kind of claw our way back. I don't know, but listen, I mean, my hope is pretty much lost. It's been a really struggling 6 weeks here through this regular season, and man, I would love to see things turn around, but right now, don't know if I see that happening. I'm very upset with the way that the Giants lost that game last night. They absolutely should have won. Credit to Tyrone Tracy, credit to Brian Dable, credit to Shane Bowen and the defense, a few standout performers. A game that the New York Giants should have won, but unfortunately here we are at 2-4. We're pissed off, but we've got a lot to talk about throughout the week, so make sure you stay tuned. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you listen on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, we'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.
Perfect.